Fantasy?
Film.
Bye! What'd you fucking say?
Fantasy.
Film fight!
I still don't get it.
Fantasy. Fight!
We take the pick of the litter.
We take it in turns.
Someone just gotta go first.
And then?
The next person.
They just go round and round.
That's what.
We call it
Fantasy.
fight. You win some, you lose some.
Anything can happen.
So?
Who are you going with?
Who you pick? Today.
Fantasy.
Film.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 51 of Fantasy Film Fights, the show where we take a random film topic and we draft it fantasy style. As always, right beside me, my co-host, Mr. Tony Hill. Tony, how you doing today, sir? You good?
I'm Miss Peggy Gubbins. Thank you very much for introducing me myself. I've just realised, Peggy. So next week's our 1 year anniversary. I've just realised, but Peggy, every time she does the intro, never actually says her name.
I don't.
I just realised. No. I'm gonna have to make a banner just for
you
it.
Know me by now.
Yeah, you've been fucking everywhere. It feels like Jesus wept.
Lately, I have. It definitely feels like I have been everywhere lately. But right here, right now, we've got a fantastic panel joining us to draft movie remakes. Right over here beside me, Tim. How you doing?
Pretty good. First time being here. Long time viewer, first time caller, I guess you could say. So it's good. It's good to be here to see how this goes, and we'll see how some of my remakes do.
Well, we're happy to have you with us today. Down over here in the corner, we're going to go over here. We're going to go, Mr. Joe Farrelly. Joe, how goes it over there across the pond?
Yeah, it's not so bad. It's cold and wet and horrible, as you'd expect. But I'm looking forward to this. And hey, if it's a success, we can always do this one again. It'll make money.
There you go. I like it. Directly below me, Mr. Joe Farrelly, or Harrison, excuse me. I'm mixing up my Joes already. Well, I love the average Joes. I missed you guys, but sorry.
Took 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Took 2 minutes. You mess up. It happens sometimes. But how you doing, Joe?
I am doing well. Despite common belief, no, I am not Joe Farrelly. I am my own person. I promise.
My bad. Okay, and then last but certainly not least, down over here in the corner, joining us for the first time, Sammy. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. Big movie fan, film student. So really glad to be with a bunch of people that share my same interests. So should be great.
Yep, should be a great one. All right. Might as well get this show on the road. We got to figure out draft order. Tony, how are we doing that?
Absolutely. So the way draft order works is that because I am drafting this week, Peggy has a numerical question. Whoever gets closest to the answer gets to pick draft order and gets to decide who goes first, who gets stuck in the middle, and who takes it in the rear.
Okay, so gentlemen, everyone got their writing utensils, whiteboards ready, what have you? All right. So the question is, just because I don't think this one is going to be selected, you might surprise me, it might get picked, but there was a movie back in 1954 named Sabrina, starring Humphrey Bogart, Audrey Hepburn, William Holden, that was remade in 1995 with Harrison Ford, Julia Ormond, and Greg Kinnear. Now, the question for you guys is, in minutes, what is the difference in runtime between those two movies? Sabrina 1994 and Sabrina 1954 and Sabrina 1995. There's number 2, Tony. We're on a roll.
Oh, that's a good question. And to be fair, I actually have watched the original Sabrina. It's very good. The remake,
I prefer it. It's Wednesday, David. I don't know. I love that line for some reason. Everyone got something written down. All right, and I do have a way to figure out a tiebreaker if need be. So we will start with Tim. Tim, what'd you write?
18 minutes.
18 minutes. Mr. Farrelly.
21.
21. Mr. Harrison.
38.
38. Sammy.
20.
20. And Tony.
All right, I'll go bottom. I'll go 12.
The host steals the draft order. It was 14 minutes between the two.
This is what I get from memorizing every film runtime ever.
All right, so Tony, it falls to you, sir. How are you going to set the order today?
Okay, I think I'm pretty confident in what I've got picked, so I'm going to put myself last. Actually, we'll do it in reverse horseshoe. So we'll start with Tim.
Okay.
Go to Farrelly. Go to Harrison. Sammy, and then me.
Sounds like a plan. So, hey, Tim, you're up first. You're officially on the clock with the first overall pick for movie remakes. What are you thinking?
The first one I'm going with because thinking about this category, my whole childhood is basically a remake because I grew up with certain programs and everything, and certain networks, especially Disney, who's been remaking everything they've ever freaking produced. So the first pick I'm going with is 1993's Homeward Bound: Incredible Journey, which was a remake of one of their originals back in '63. So I'm going to go with that one for my first one.
Interesting, because I believe that one was picked last week as a 5-word movie title. Yep, that was Robert's 5th round pick. Not one I would expect to go in back-to-back weeks, but I dig it. Anybody else have this on their list?
Nope.
I did.
Yeah? Nice.
I had this. It's a delightful film.
It's delightful. It was an honorable mention for me.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that scene at the very end, I mean, that just pulls the heartstrings so bad every time.
Yeah, I mean, I really think just the whole journey with all three of the animals going through it is a real good, especially for kids. It's really, really good. I kind of wish they didn't make the sequel. I wish they would have just kept it as the original because I didn't like the sequel.
San Francisco is a masterpiece.
We'll agree to disagree, Joe.
All I'm saying is shout out Michael J. Fox.
True.
Yeah.
I also just realized that sequels of popular films with talking animals, they end up going lost in cities. Babe, Homeward Bound.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Seems to be something of a trope with those. But all right, Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey, off the board. Farrelly, you're up, sir.
I think if a remake can be considered the definitive version, then I think it's got to be a good remake. And if they're going to try and do it again, because that version was so good, I think you need movies like this so that you can say that's the bad guy. That's why I'm going with Scarface.
I didn't realize Scarface was a remake.
I happened to be watching this when I was messaged about coming on this panel. It seemed that it had to go on the list. It is a fantastic film, fantastic performances, fantastic direction, score. It is a fantastic movie and a fantastic remake.
All right, Scarface goes to Farrelly. Anybody else have this on their list?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's 2 for 2 coming off Sammy's list.
I got about 30 of them. I think I'll be okay.
All right, that's good. That's good. So
I honestly left this one off. Like I knew it was a remake, but I kind of left it off because I figured, okay, this is one that's going to go fast.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that was why I was like, depending on the draft order, if I didn't get it first, it was going to go. It was going to go before I got to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Easily the most quotable movie, one of the most quotable movies of all time as well. So
one of. I will agree with one of.
Yep, definitely. Not most, but
I also don't think that you're an actual teenage boy unless you had the poster of it at some point. Either that or like you went to college.
Mm-hmm.
It was a popular one, that's for sure.
Also, there's the Scarface remake written by Oliver Stone. Because all those political films, and then just put in this like, hey, and now I'm gonna write something about someone but just a ton of coke.
Cocaine.
Oh, you got to show range,
I'm gonna be honest. It's like Scarface. I know Joe mentioned that you rewatched it when you sent a message. I rewatched it last year, and it's just like it doesn't hold up from what I remember as a kid. Because I remember loving it. It's just being like, oh great! It's just like Tony Montana is such an awesome character, and it's just like, actually, it's pretty kind of.
I mean, I think some movies have that nostalgia goggle factor for us, depending on how it resonated with us when we were younger, and you try to rewatch it. It's like,
I mean, it does depend on the lens in which you're viewing it through. I think back when you watch it, especially when you're younger, it's look at this guy's lifestyle, and then you actually see it's the downfall of that lifestyle, and it can hold up to just resonate differently.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention, it made so many other movies great, and it even made like a video game great in GTA Vice City. I mean, that whole game was basically Scarface, practically.
I apologize. I have a barking dog in the background. So, Farrelly takes Scarface. We'll press on to Harrison. What you got?
So my movie came out 14 years after its original. It's a remake of a silent film. This film did it even better. They decided that not only were they going to add talking, they were going to make it a musical. 1939's The Wizard of Oz is a remake of the 1925 film The Wizard of Oz. It's my all-time favorite film, so of course I have to. If I don't pick it first off the board as my all-time favorite film, I think I lie to myself.
No, that's fair. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to chime in right now because of the dog. So, Tony.
The Wizard of Oz, you say? I've never heard this film.
You can give it a chance. You should give it a watch when you get the chance.
Welcome to Planet Earth, Tony.
I think the original was actually called Wizard of Oz. I think.
No, it's Larry Simon in The Wizard of Oz.
That's it. That's it.
Have you ever actually seen the original? Was it the silent film?
Yes, I have. It's free on YouTube as well to watch.
Oh, nice. So, I'm curious about this because I remember. I think I was also critically acclaimed. And he mentioned this. It's like the silent film is so much darker than the Julia Garland one, not just because of just tone, like the book as well, just very much darker. Is that the case as well, or?
Oh, the straight up plot is they're like the people from they're trying to kill Dorothy. Like that's the entire plot of the silent film of The Wizard of Oz. They are trying to kill Dorothy. Like it's even like they have guns. They pull guns on a kid. It's not magic. They just straight up are just like, aha, I have a gun. You're gonna die.
The truest sense of magic.
Sixth sense of humor.
Anyone else have Wizard of Oz on their list?
Yeah.
Yep.
I actually left that one off.
Yeah, Aaron told me earlier that Wizard of Oz would have been his number one pick had he been on the show today. So, solid pick from Joe H. Sammy, over to you, sir.
So for me, horror is my favorite genre of any kind, and we all know, horror films are remade, like it's their day job. Unfortunately, some that shouldn't be mentioned, and some aren't half bad. But for me, this remake was done very, very well, and probably, in my opinion, at least the best horror remake of all time. Well, in recent times, I should say. For me, it'd be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 2003.
Ooh.
I was going to judge a little had you said Psycho.
No, absolutely not.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Not one that would have occurred to me, but did it occur to anybody else to have it on your list?
Not the horror I would have gone with.
Oh.
Actually, yeah, but I kind of share a thing with Josh McCouga. Horror, under the bed, crying. I'm always just fearful with horror.
I'm watching through like my eyes like this.
Yeah. It's especially like horror done right when you could do it and it's that good. That's the emotion it wants from you, but it's I can only do it so much.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I'm curious. I've not seen the remake because I am a massive horror pansy, and this is well known. But I have seen the original because I got forced to when I studied film performance.
Yeah.
How different is it? Because it feels like the whole charm of Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the fact that it had no budget and it was the way that it was shot. Like Tobe Hooper did some fantastic work. Whereas if you throw money at it, I'm just like I'm kind of interested how that would happen.
So for this one, at least for me, it was the acting was a little bit better. I mean, you had Jessica Biel at the helm, and she did fantastic as like the main victim, and Andrew, and I can't even say his last name, so I'm just going to try Brzezinski, I think is how you say it. I actually met him in real life too at a Monster Mania con. Big guy, really big guy, but I thought he was great as Leatherface, and they really stuck true to the character with that Also just the family, everybody that was associated with Leatherface, and it was a little bit darker. It was a little bit, a little more sadistic. I remember there's a scene where Leatherface is carrying one of the victims down the hallway, and he puts his hands on the wall and he scratches the wall and his nails bend back, and you see it and you're like,
yeah.
All you do is cringe, and it just really really stuck true to the that scare factor. It's, for me, it's just one of those films that, no disrespect to the original, because it'll always be a classic no matter what. For me, as a remake, I think they did really, really well. There's too many horror films out here that do remakes, and they're just bad. Flat out bad.
That's fair. All right, Sammy takes Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Tony, you put yourself last. Is your number one still on the board?
My number one is still available, so
Nice.
I'm looking for that. So it's very difficult to go for one of the most iconic men in the 20th century, really, to step into his shoes and to play a role that he did. But this person did it incredibly well, and it's probably one of the best films of this director's work. George Clooney is incredible in it, and the ability to make the cast of crew that they did was just great. I am going for classic Ocean's 11.
Nice.
Yeah.
Soderbergh.
Yeah.
Steven Soderbergh. So I remember my first match, I couldn't pull that director. So mad at myself. But
Thanks, Tony. You've only got to nose up my bloody list.
Nose it right up.
It's one of those ones where if you watch the Brat Pack version, you can see the similarities to it, but you can also see where Soderbergh just went, okay, I'm going to take this and make it my own completely different thing. And it's just yeah. It's not the best Soderbergh heist film, because Lucky Logan is probably his greatest film of all time, but it's one up there as one of his best.
We're talking about science here.
Did anybody else have this one on their list?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yep.
And we don't talk about Ocean's 13.
But we can talk about Ocean's
Funny enough, that actually got me watching Ocean's 11. Got me into like heist movies, because I'm more of like a comedy, good feeling movies, which I have a lot of them through this list. You'll find out, but that got me into like a lot of heist movies and everything. It's like, these are pretty good. That's and I always appreciate that difference of expanding your horizons with something you've never seen before, and that kind of got my foot in the door with it, and it's just kind of like a rabbit hole of all these different heist movies I've seen. Like, I still, one of my favorites to this day is Contraband. I mean, yeah, and that's the Mark Wahlberg one, because I'm a big Mark Wahlberg fan, but yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of why Tony put together that challenge over on Letterboxd. Tell him about that.
I have a Letterboxd challenge, so you can find that it's the 52 categories, 52 weeks. So each week you can go off and take a category off and watch a film that you haven't seen before from that thing, or like if you want to just blow through and just pick and choose that. Absolutely, however you want to do it is available. And also there's a podcast that goes alongside it, Digesting Cinema, hosted by Aaron J and Christina V. And they did this week. It was Top Gun with the 80s, and next Monday I should say, it's been released. They are doing the 1990s with the Blair Witch Project.
It was supposed to be a surprise when you heard. I thought when you listened to the
We're gonna put a poster up tomorrow about it. So
okay, good. But yeah, like that challenge is like a way to just kind of, like you said, broaden your horizons, watch something that maybe you wouldn't have watched otherwise. And so, like you said, it opened you up to heist movies. Maybe that let's do some of that good stuff for those of you out there who participate. But we've reached the end of round one. Tony, if you would be so kind to give a recap to those who might have joined late.
Absolutely. Okay, so there we are. So Tim went first, and first overall, The Homeward Bound: Incredible Journey. Or I think it is actually Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey, but I've already written it. Joe Farrelly went second. He went Scarface. Joe Harrison went third. He went The Wizard of Oz. I now want to see Judy Garland and Al Pacino swap roles. I chose 2003's Texas Chainsaw Massacres, and I chose 2001's Ocean's 11.
Nice. On to round two we go. Back to you, Tony. What you got up your sleeve?
Okay, I am gonna go. So there's one that I feel obvious, but if it's still here by the time I get my next go, I'll pick it. Even though I'm all right. Screw. I'm gonna go with one that is one of my all-time favorite films, and that I only found out today is So, this story. This movie got released. It was made on a small budget, and it got massively loved back in the 60s. And a little Japanese director called Akira Kurosawa saw it and just went, "I know that movie. That's my movie." So sued him, and it settled out of court for 15% of all royalties and $100,000. With that film, it started a trilogy of the Man with No Name trilogy. It launched the career of Clint Eastwood, and it's one of the finest Western films you'll ever see. I am going with A Fistful of Dollars.
Nice.
Which legally, I guess now, can be classed as a remake of Yojimbo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bravo, sir.
Yeah, if you've never seen it because it's old and Western, it is an incredible watch. It's the shortest of this trilogy, and it's just this hands down, it's personally my favorite of the three. It's just great, and Eastwood is just everything works so perfectly in it. It's just and it's not a minute wasted.
Yeah, you recently did a deep dive on Westerns, didn't you? Was that part of it?
Yep.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. Sammy, I saw you have a reaction. Is this one of the ones on your list that weren't like horror?
Yeah, I mean, I have like an all around list. That's horror, fantasy, action, thriller, whatever you want to call it. All kinds of stuff. But this one stuck out to me just because, I mean, Clint Eastwood. I've never been like a big fan of Westerns. Really at all. But I could always enjoy a good Clint Eastwood film. I'm not gonna lie about that.
That's fair. Anybody else have this one on their list?
Oh yeah. The whole trilogy is fantastic, but just slight difference, Tony. My favorite is Good, the Bad, the Ugly. I had tickets to see it during an Ennio Morricone season, but that got cancelled because of COVID. So I'm hoping to go see it again because Morricone's work is fantastic.
True.
Throughout the trilogy.
Agree.
His music just like the fact that he only at the very end of his career got Oscar nominated and the Oscar wins is just a disgrace. Like some of his work, just man.
All right,
but,
Tony takes
Harrison and Tim, you guys.
Oh, I had it on my list.
I had as a mention. I had like another on my list. I kind of thought you were going for when you went into 60s, and I was going to be like, you son of a bitch, but you didn't.
I'll be interested to see if you pick that one up, Tim. But first, we gotta go to Sammy. Sammy, your number 2 pick.
Okay, so I was kind of going back and forth with it. I was thinking about doing another horror one. Maybe I'll do that in the next round, I guess. But for me, I'm gonna change up a little bit and go kind of to like the fantasy a little bit here. And for me, this film, I mean, there's remake on top of remake on top of remake for these films. But for me, I think the 93 version of this was the best one, in my opinion, at least. Great cast, good direction. And, for me, I'm going to go with the Three Musketeers.
Ooh, nice. Not one that would have entered my mind, but I dig it. All right. Anybody else have this one on their list? Anyone want to chime in on Three Musketeers?
Didn't have it.
Nope, did not have it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, is this like Kiefer Sutherland, Charlie Sheen?
Yep. Tim Curry.
Yeah. Chris O'Donnell. All right, cool. Yeah, definitely seen that one. It's been a while since I've seen that one, actually.
Yeah, for me, that one just kind of sticks out in my mind, more than any of the other ones. I mean, the originals were pretty good, but they were kind of just like flat and a little dull. For this one, there was a little more action, better acting, better direction, and probably one of Chris O'Donnell's very few good films that he has.
Circle of Friends is good.
It's okay.
I'll be honest, when I'm trying to think of this version, the only thing that comes to mind is Man in the Iron Mask.
Right? They're right around the same time.
Yeah, they're about the same time. It's just like, it just feels
That's actually on my list, too.
know.
Yeah, right around, I think Man in the Iron Mask was, I want to say like 2002, 2001-ish, somewhere in there. Might be way off, but
I think it was mid to late 90s.
98.
There we go.
98, okay. Yeah, very, very good film as well. Very great book too. So,
all right, cool.
Pretty decent writer.
Yeah,
Decent.
I think so.
He's all right for himself.
So Sammy takes Three Musketeers. Harrison, you're up, sir.
So at first I thought when Tony was talking about a technical remake, I thought he was talking about, oh, it was made from a different foreign film. I am going with 2006 The Departed. As everyone knows, it's a remake of Infernal Affairs, which is a great Chinese film. If you haven't watched Infernal Affairs, go watch Infernal Affairs, but also watch The Departed. It is great, except for the spoiler warning, last shot of the movie, which I support digitally removing the last shot of the movie. It's just a fucking rat. Get that rat out of here. But other than that, it is well directed. It has great performances from Mark Wahlberg, Jack Nicholson, Leonardo DiCaprio. Those are just like, those three have great standout performances in that movie, and it is one of those movies where it stands by itself, even not like you can watch it and enjoy it just as a movie, even without knowing it's a remake. But it's also a good remake when you watch its source material as well.
Nice. Yeah, I thought Mark Wahlberg stole that one. He was fantastic.
Amazing.
Playing angry Boston guy with muscles.
I know. It's great for him.
Insert every role for the next 20 years.
Still knocked it out of the park, though. Yes.
Oh yeah, he's great.
You
He is
realize
great.
he was good in it.
Yeah, everybody dies in it, you know.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll be honest, I've never seen Departed.
Really?
It's worth it. It really
It is worth it.
Yeah.
Get out.
that's
Get out.
surprising. I think you would enjoy it.
I know. I've always had this thing against Scorsese. I think I watched like Goodfellas when I was just way too young, and it's just like, I don't like his work.
He's too violent. He's a mean man.
This person smells.
Everyone's got their things, I suppose.
Unbelievable.
It's very
I met him in real life too, actually.
Oh,
He
nice.
was a good friend of my teacher in college, and he would go in. I went to the Art Institute of Philadelphia at the time. It's no longer open, and he would go in there in the editing studio once in a while, and he'd pop his head in, and then like I walked by one day, and I was like starstruck. I was like, "Oh my god!" Didn't even expect him to be there, and he corrected me on how he say his last name. Apparently, it's Scorsese, not Scorsese, but he doesn't correct anybody anymore because they all say it wrong anyway. So,
There's a few people I know who just kind of do the same. Just like, when they're going to say it however they want. But yeah, little side game for everyone in the chat to play. Let's see how many picks that Sammy's met the director of as we go along. It'll be fun game as we go. But
Monster Mania is a great thing.
Departed's off the board. Farrelly, over to you, sir.
I'm going to stick with the technical remakes here.
Harrison.
That was.
No, yeah, I know.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Harrison picked that one.
I realized what I did. I'm an
Don't
idiot.
try to confuse me, Tony. I've already messed up twice.
So I am going to stick with the technical remakes here. This is a remake of a 1957 drama thriller, which was remade into a farcical comedy. And this is a remake because the plot is the same. They bought the rights to the script so they could use excerpts of the dialogue. And I have gone for one of the greatest comedies of all time, 1980s, Airplane.
Oh, shit.
Remake of 0 Hour.
Yeah.
I've even looked at the quotes of 0 Hour. They are spot on. The fish
Really?
for dinner, fly this plane and land it. It is almost exact, except for anything that makes you laugh.
And Leon's getting larger. Johnny,
Personally, that part's not in 0 hours. Just quickly, I believe it's still on YouTube, but there's a thing where it's like shows side by side of 0 Hour and Airplane of the exact quotes that they took from the script of the original, and it's redid it with Leslie Nielsen just saying it and just like, and it's now hilarious.
This is we were talking about quotable movies. This is one of the most quotable movies. It's a comedy that still holds up. It's eminently rewatchable, and I only watched it a few nights ago, and I could easily put it on again right now and watch it from start to finish. Even Elmer Bernstein's score is brilliant. It undercuts the drama and the comedy perfectly.
Yeah, like Leslie Nielsen's ability to just deadpan deliver a line is just like a treasure.
It's why you have serious actors doing comedy.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Anybody else have? I know Tony, you had this on your list for sure, right?
I didn't. That's why I'm so annoyed.
Oh, Sammy had it.
Yep.
I kind of knew this one was going to come up, but the first time I saw this, my mom showed it to me when I was like 6 or 7. So you can imagine me seeing the comedy spots and just, I don't get it. And it's one of those you watch later on. You're like, oh, this is great. What's wrong with you, you dumbass 6-year-old?
It was the first DVD I ever owned.
Really?
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
That's cool.
I'm
trying to think what the first DVD I ever owned was. I know the first CD. I know the first cassette.
I believe my first DVD was Down with Love.
I think my first DVD was Harry Potter. The first one.
Very necessary.
I think my first DVD was an old TV show. I can't remember what the hell it was, though.
But as you can see, yeah, the collection's grown since then, for sure.
I'm so sorry.
But I didn't know Airplane was a remake. That was a fun fact I got to learn today. Thank you, Joe. And with that, over to Tim to close out round 2.
All right. Well, I'm going to close it out with I blame my family for this. As kids' movies, I grew up with the 90s because I was born in 86. But I grew up with a lot of older comedies and movies because I don't know why. My family probably just didn't think of maybe a kid shouldn't see these movies or what have you. So I'm going with number 2. I'm going with the remake of The Bad News Bears in 2005.
Okay. Linklater.
Yeah, I love the original one with Walter Matthau. You can, from movie to movie, you could see the beats of it. I think Billy Bob Thornton does a good job playing that washed out mentor of leading these kids, and I always love it. I always love those type of movies with Billy Bob when he's a drunken bastard, kind of like that, Bad Santa, but what have you. But I'm going with that.
Now, my favorite Bad News Bears movie is Bad News Bears in Breaking Training when they go play in the Astrodome. I think it was number 2 in the original series. But no, I dig me some Richard Linklater, so I appreciate this pick. Did anybody else have the Bad News Bears?
I did not.
No? Tim's out on a ledge with that one.
I've actually never seen any Bad News Bears movies.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. I've heard of all of them, don't get me wrong. And I know that they're filled with great acting and great actors and actresses, but I just never sat down to watch them.
Yeah, some of it from the old school trilogy, Breaking Training, they go to Japan. Tanner Boyle's got a bit of a potty mouth and it does not hold up nowadays because there's some racial slurs being thrown.
Okay, to be fair, Peggy, there's a lot of movies from back then that don't hold up nowadays.
I completely agree.
Blazing Saddles is one of them. And I love that movie.
No, all right. Solid way to close out round 2. Tony, over to you for the recap.
Absolutely. Okay, so I went first this round. I went with a Fistful of Dollars. Sammy went second with the Three Musketeers 93 version. Joe Harrison went with Departed. Joe Farrelly went with Airplane. God damn you. And Tim went with the Bad News Bears.
All right, some vastly different teams forming. I dig it. Into round 3.
Speaking of Bad News Bears, quickly, just to give them a second to think.
Yeah.
Next week, 1 year anniversary, Sports version 2.
Yes, next week we are not allowing the panelists to pick the 25 that were selected on the first ever Fantasy Film Fights episode, but there's still a whole lot of sports movies to choose from, so I think they'll be all right. All right, Tim.
Is Vinnie Jones's Mean Machine still available?
Yeah,
I believe so.
That's my first overall pick.
I believe so. All right, Tim, round 3. Kick it off. What you got?
All right. For the next one, because I'm feeling very confident with my picks, so I'm going to move some around and pick up a 1956 classic that was a remake of a silent film of this, which I am so happy because I loved this movie with Charlton Heston back in the day. This was one of the first ones that I would literally be glued to the screen watching the VHS and, got my ass beat for burning out the first VHS copy because I would watch it and keep rewinding them. was Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston. I loved that one. I never knew it was a remake of a silent film until I looked into it and saw it was a 1923 original silent film gone off of that. And I'm just like, wow, because that is, to me, a great movie and one of my all-time favorites growing up.
I have to admit, I've never seen the Charlton Heston 10 Commandments.
Oh, it is such a treat. I mean, granted, it's nowhere near historically accurate for the time and the place, but it's so good just to watch the movie in Charlton Heston's command of the role of Moses. So,
I mean, I've seen clips and bits and pieces like in like montages at the Oscars and whatnot, but yeah, never seen it. I guess I'll have to add that to the list. Joe Harrison, it looked like you had a reaction to that one. Was that on your list?
No, it wasn't. So let's not. There was a different movie.
Right.
Let's shut up.
Didn't mean to draw attention to that. You must have been thinking something else that kind of sounded like that. Not that I'm adding on to the attention being drawn to you right now. Did anyone
I wonder what it is now, Joe? I'll talk about this later.
Anyone have Ten Commandments on theirs? Because I'll be honest, I'm in the same boat. I've never seen it.
I haven't seen the remake. I've seen the original, not the remake.
We got some viewing to do on this panel. All right. So Tim takes 10 Commandments, unless Tony had something else to add.
I was going to say I have to. So I think everyone's seen a scene from Charlton Heston of the watching the waves go.
Yeah, the party on the Red Sea scene.
Yeah. So I actually studied theology at one point, and I drank a lot at that time as well. So I can't remember shit. No, I was I did a tour when I was in LA of the Universal Studios, and no, was it Paramount Studios? I tell a lie. And they actually showed you the area of where they actually did shot it back in the 50s, and just like all the mechanical stuff they had to use to do it. It was really interesting.
For sure.
They now use it as a car park.
It's weird how that happens, you know. Paved Paradise put up a parking lot. All right, Farrelly.
I'm sorry. No, she's not having that. No. You're not. No.
What'd I do?
We're not quoting Joni Mitchell.
What's wrong?
I'll allow it. I thought it was good. I like it.
Because I'm gonna have that song stuck in my head for the rest of the month now. Fuck you.
Baby shark, baby shark.
Oh God.
Hi, Tim. Do you want to be the new host for Fancy Film Fight?
Sure, this is great. All right.
She only complains about it, but she fails to realize that would have alleviated congestion around the outskirts of Paradise, and something she fails to take into account in her song. If I can quote Alan Partridge on this, I will.
All right. Anyway, you're up, sir. What you got?
I think for this one, I'm going to go with another remake. This time, a remake for foreign film. I first saw this movie a few years ago. I was trying to watch a little bit more stuff I hadn't seen before, and I was blown away by this film. It is a fantastic comedy. It's a fantastic remake. But unlike Airplane, it's not as farcical a comedy, and it has some real heart to it. And that heart comes from its two stars, Robin Williams and Nathan Lane. And it's one of the only films that you'll get to see Gene Hackman in drag. I have gone with Birdcage, a remake of Le Cage aux Folles. It is a fantastic comedy and one that I really keep meaning to get around to watching again and haven't quite got around to yet. But since seeing it, I still thoroughly recommend it. It's a fantastic movie.
Again, another one I did not realize that was a remake.
Yep.
Anybody have this one? Okay, we're taking all of Sammy's movies. Good thing you got a long list.
Yeah, the one thing I really remember about that movie with Robin Williams, Robin Williams in that movie. There we go.
Hank Azaria, I forgot to mention Hank Azaria.
Hank Azaria, everyone.
The one thing I remember about Robin Williams and that mustache he had in that movie, I don't know if it was real, I don't know if it was fake, whatever. It was one of the most epic mustaches I've ever seen.
Have you seen his arms? It was real.
Yeah. That man is a gorilla.
And despite all the joy from the comedy, it's the scene on the bench between those two that elevates that film to a different level.
Yeah.
All right.
It's such a wonderful film in the fact that it could have gone so so differently and so much terribly, especially because of the time period and the subject I was talking about. I think Mike Nichols deserves all the credit in the world for just helming that and just going, okay, no, we're actually going to keep it on track. We're going to keep it actually as this beautiful story rather than just going just going down that route of just like, they're gay.
Yeah.
Queers are funny. That's a known fact.
All right. With that, we're going to move on to Harrison. Harrison, what's your round 3 pick?
There's two. I think I'm pretty secure with what I have. I was a year off on when it was released, so that's why I thought this movie came out in 1959, not 1960. It is also a biblical epic.
I knew it.
Ben-Hur. Yeah.
No wonder you were having such a strong reaction.
Yeah, Ben-Hur. I just love big epic movies, and Ben-Hur is, by all accounts, a big epic movie, and it's just something where it is also. I watched it for the first time in film school, and I fell in love with it. It was one of those things where it was our film professors just like, hey, here are like 10 movies that are essential to watch from the 50s. You have to pick one of them and write a paper on it. I picked Ben-Hur. Didn't realize how long it was at first. Mistake on my part, but because of how long it was, allowed me to write a really good paper on it. And it is big, it is epic, it has a really good production design, sound design is great. It is one of the capital marks of the golden age of Hollywood filmmaking.
Well put. Anybody else have this on their list besides maybe Tim? Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have the newer.
We don't talk about 2016's Ben-Hur.
No.
It still happened, Joe.
It didn't.
I'm a big original Ghostbusters fan. I still have to admit there was one in 2016 too. So you have to take.
Unfortunately,
yes.
Unfortunately, there was.
It's the best one.
Yeah. I think Feig missed the mark on that one. Kind of concur.
The best one.
No, this one is fantastic pick. I did watch this after watching the 2016 one of just going, okay, this one is so shit. The original must be better, and it's like, oh yeah, it kind of bit better. It was a tiny bit better. Yeah, it's like you kind of forget just how much gravitas Charlton Heston had. Like you just remember, like especially in the old days, and just like you might just remember him going crazy and with his guns.
Anyone who's seen Wayne's World, was it 2 or is it the first one? I think it's the first one.
I think it's the first one. Yeah, but it's a good actor.
Where they replaced the guy at the gas station with Charlton Heston.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone who's seen that knows he brings gravitas.
Ben-Hur, the original Planet of the Apes, she's there just like, oh yeah, okay, I can see why people believe that you're a biblical person.
Well, I mean, not only that, I mean, just for his movies in general, he was that big. For his time, he was that big Hollywood presence, that big Hollywood man. You could see, oh, okay, we can see why you're doing this movie. I mean, and you brought up Planet of the Apes, and that's a great example. I don't really see anyone else but Charlton Heston in that lead role. I don't see it for that time.
Christian Bale.
Get out of here.
No, we already had Mark Wahlberg ruin it in 2000. I don't know.
And how many have they made since like then? Like 3 or more since then, something like that.
They made better ones than that 2001.
That's fair.
All right, so Joe Harrison takes the better version of Ben-Hur off the board. Sammy, over to you.
So this one, much like my my last one, there's been, multiple incarnations of this film. Not necessarily the title, but just the character and. By multiple people. Me personally, I think Sean Connery played it best. But I'm gonna have to go with Casino Royale with Daniel Craig.
All right, now Tony, remind me, is this the one where they're doing all like the parkour, like Crouching Tiger hit? Okay.
And then it's the casino stuff as well.
I just want to make sure I was thinking of the right one.
And some guy's scrotum gets destroyed.
Yeah. This one has probably one of the better quotes I've ever heard in a movie. And the guy's sitting in a chair, in one of those wicker chairs, and he cuts open the bottom so his testicles are hanging out, and then he's swinging a ball that hits him like it's like a tennis ball melted onto a rope, and then he swings it and hits him in both times. Daniel Craig starts laughing. He's like, no, to the right, to the right. And then he hits him again, and he goes like, yeah, that's the spot. He goes like, now the whole world's gonna know that you died scratching my balls.
I was falling asleep at that part.
I'm just loving Joe's face, Farrelly's face is just like being known as like probably the biggest expert in Bond in this thing. Just like
I am shocked that he did not pick it.
Yeah.
I think just because the 67 one is a spoof and it's so far removed from what we got in Casino Royale, I think it was on my list and it was one that I would have gone to further down the line. I just think the other remakes were closer to the source material, not necessarily because even that spoof version is so far removed from the book. Not that the 2006 one's book accurate, but there you go.
No, that's fair.
But Casino Royale is my favorite Bond movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It is a phenomenal movie down to David Arnold's score, performances, and the decision to keep Judi Dench on was perfect.
Yeah. I should say, if you've not seen the 67 version of Casino Royale, if you've ever seen the classic Pink Panthers, it's more in that vein than it is like a traditional Bond film, but they are still hilarious. Like, so if you can find it, go watch it. It's like, but don't expect for love of Christ like any like Roger Moore-esque or Sean Connery-esque Bond. It is very different.
Rest in peace.
But yeah, oh god, yeah, both of them.
All right, Tony, close that round 3 for us. What are you thinking?
Okay. So there's one that should have been picked by now, but I don't feel that I have the right to speak about it because I've not seen it. So I'm not going to pick that. But if no one picks it by the 5th round, I'll pick it at the very end just so no one shouts at me. This one I'm going to go for. Speaking of Bond, I'm going to go pick a film with a Bond actor. This is very much probably I would say this film is 100% better than the original of this one. They took what was a decent action film, a decent heist film, and made it so much better and got so much better actors in it not better actors but better chemistry. And it's directed by John McTiernan, and it's the best Bond film with Pierce Brosnan, even though he wasn't legally able to wear a tux in it. I'm going for the Thomas Crown Affair.
I haven't seen this one since probably the year after it came out. It's been a while.
It holds up amazingly. It's so great. It's just like a thriller, just like especially that time period, 99, when they had so many of those like kind of romance thrillers or them jazz coming out. It's like this one just really stands the test of time, just being like, oh yeah, you can still hold it as like being just great. Yes, please more. Thank you.
Thomas Crown Affair, did it make anybody else's list on the panel? No. Again, Tony, out there on a ledge by yourself.
I should say, it's also probably the only good film Rene Russo has ever done.
That who's ever done?
Rene Russo.
Oh, bite your tongue. You ever see Tin Cup? Major League?
I mean, she was in it.
Yeah. I mean, she was in it. Charlie Sheen made Major League. Come on now.
Yeah.
Dare you, sir. All right. Tony, with your team full of heists and dollars, give us a recap of how round 3 went down.
Okay, so for round 3, so Tim went first. He went with 10 Commandments. Joe Farrelly went for the Birdcage, keeping on with the biblical trio. Joe Harrison went Ben-Hur because, of course, Birdcage is a biblical film. Sammy went for Casino Royale, and I went for I forgot to write it in the Thomas Crown Affair.
All right, while you're writing that down, I was gonna say be thinking of your 4th round pick, but over to you, sir. What you got?
I got my 4th round pick. Okay, I'm gonna go for one that is very much the most different of the ones that I've picked so far, but it is a delightful film. It's one like from '98 where it's just like it shouldn't work. It really shouldn't. In just a case of just like the story is dumb. If you look at it for more than 5 seconds, it's unknown actors, kid actors playing 2 roles, having to do an accent. It's just like, and it's a director's first time doing directorial debut. But for somehow, Lindsay Lohan should have been Oscar nominated for being in contention for The Parent Trap. She is. I will hold that to a fact. In both those roles, she is incredible. The Parent Trap is one of the best Disney films of all time.
Yeah.
Panel, what say you? Did you guys have this one?
I
I
did.
didn't have it.
Tim had it.
I was juggling between I was going to bring it at the end of this round or my last pick because, whether it be what was left of her career after that, that's her choices. But that's another one I grew up with all the original Parent Traps with Haley Mills with the first one, second one, and then when they brought in the 3 hot triplets and, but I was like, okay. I got others, Tony. I'll remember that.
I should also say as well, it's like got a low-key fantastic score from Alice Silvestri, just like hidden away now, just like, oh, why did you do so great for this? And it's just like, performances are great as well. Dennis Quaid, we don't really talk about the Quaid family anymore, but he's great in it. And like that, this was like the first film Nancy Meyer did as herself. She would work in a lot of times with her husband at the time, Charles Shire. This was the film that she did on her own as directorial debut. And it's just like, and it's one of those ones where it's just like, yeah, you hit the ground running, Glove.
All right. No one else wants to chime in. We shall move over to Sammy. Sammy, what is your 4th overall selection?
So for me, this one actually, I really enjoyed the film, as a whole, and I really enjoy the franchise as a whole. But I mean, once again, I just keep picking these. Seems like there's been many reincarnations of this film, but for me, this remake was one of the better one, probably the best one in my opinion, at least. Story was great, acting was great. And it is an iconic scene, in the history of film. So my pick is going to be King Kong in 05.
05. All right.
I am going to keep my mouth very shut about this because I'm going to offend a lot of people if I talk about this film. So, does anyone else think of King Kong?
I had it towards the side, but
yeah, I do agree that it is one of the. I think it's a great remake of the original. I think Peter Jackson did a very good job with going off of that, and we kind of got. I think that we got kind of like a Kong Godzilla universe now with the movies we have now off of that. So
Yeah, and I mean, for me, like I said, the original, so iconic, when he's on the Empire State Building and, you really see that. But with this one, it's like it was so much more like immersive, like especially when they're on the island. I mean, they dwelled on like some of the monsters and the animals that were on the island, and you made it scary at one point, like even scarier than it was. They made Kong look so realistic, but he was huge at the same time, and I thought, and I even like Jack Black in that film. I mean, I'm a huge Jack Black fan, and that was really out of his element. But even I liked him in that film for some odd reason.
I kind of liked him more than Adrian Brody, but that's just me.
Yeah.
That guy is so bizarre looking at his Adrian Brody's career. I'm just like, he did The Pianist, did Gold Oscar Love, then did King Kong, this massive film. Then it's just like, and now he's doing B movies.
I feel like that film could have like done really well with like a really well-known actor, like a more like I guess what you would consider like a heartthrobs kind of guy, who's like jacked, like a Chris Hemsworth, we'll just say, Yeah. I feel like someone like that of that magnitude could have done really well in that role. But Adrian Brody has just.
I think with 2005 too, there was a lot of other like bigger movies to come out. I kind of think it got its viewing, but I kind of think it got pushed to the side a lot too.
Yeah, definitely did.
Yeah, I do sometimes think that some of its viewing came that this was Peter Jackson and he was fresh off Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Speaking of that, best Jackson film, King Kong.
No.
Best Jackson film.
No
Lord of the Rings.
No way.
No, can't go along with that, but
Yeah, I can't agree.
But King Kong from 05 is off the board. Tony, did I just interrupt you?
No, go ahead.
All right, cool. Joe Harrison. Back over to you,
Right.
buddy.
You want to watch a movie where Robert De Niro just creeps the fuck out of you?
You son of a bitch.
Counselor.
Know where he's going.
Cape Fear, 1991.
I forgot that was a remake. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And like I said, you want to watch a movie where Robert De Niro just creeps the fuck out of you? Cape Fear. It is just such a bone-chilling performance. Like he rightfully deserved that nom for that performance. It is a great Scorsese film. I'm surprised I got 2 Scorsese films. I thought at least Departed or Cape Fear would have gone for. I'm surprised I got those 2. So I'm happy off of that. But yeah, Cape Fear, go watch it.
I prefer the Simpsons version where Sideshow Bob stepping on all the rakes. Oh, that was good. Whoever did that.
Yeah,
Anyone
so,
keep-
Yeah, Kate. It's a fantastic film. Robert De Niro is absolutely chilling. It's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Almost any De Niro film, I'll sit and watch. At least once.
That's fair.
Great, quick cheek flow because I'm a chill as all. If you want to watch a film by De Niro, Mad Dog and Glory. That's a fantastic film, 1993, also starring Bill Murray. And if you want to watch some people's reaction to it, watch Unearthed, Bill Cariolo, released yesterday, where him and Aaron J talked about Mad Dog and Glory.
Don't forget his free coffee too. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
But just quickly, going back to Cape Fear, I've not seen the remake, but I have seen the original with Gregory Peck because I'm a psychopath. And that film, if you haven't watched the original, please go watch it. It's one of those ones where it's just like, I understand why it got remade, but the original is just so good on its own.
Fair enough. All right. Cape Fear off the board, over to Farrelly.
I'm surprised this one's still on the board, but another horror. And if they'd kept the original title, probably would have made one of the top five-word movie titles. 1957's The Thing from Outer Space, remade in 1982. Part of 1982's epic season with Blade Runner, E.T., Wrath of Khan. The Thing is absolutely fantastic. It is the creature effects, the score, the ending. The Thing is a fantastic horror movie and one that's revisitable over and over again.
I have never seen The Thing, so I'm going to leave it to the rest of the panel to chime on this one. Any of you guys have this?
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
Sammy, I'm taking your pick, Sammy.
That's okay. It's
What is your
understandable.
favorites?
The thing between The Thing and The Exorcist, I regard those as probably the 2 most iconic horror movies of all time, in my opinion, at least.
That's cool.
Yeah, when I kept going, there's that film, but if no one picks it by the 5th round, I'll pick it just so that we say it was this one because even though I've not seen it because Masahiro Panzi, I recognize the importance of this film and just like it's one of the greatest horror films of all time, just like the scare. And
See,
just the way it works.
I never knew it was a remake. I remember the Kurt Russell one.
Yep.
I think that was the 82 one, I do believe.
Yep. Yeah,
and I remember that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one, but I never knew it was a remake. I knew it was based off one of his books, but I never knew it was a remake.
That's fair.
Also, just quickly, I don't know if anyone's going to pick it because we've only got like 1 round left. But John Carpenter is very good at doing remakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Fair.
Yes, he is.
He's one of those. He was one of those people where, it's like him and Scorsese, maybe like the only people that have ever done remakes. Gone like, oh yeah, you could do anything you want now with remakes. Go ahead, we trust you. Don't worry
Tarantino.
about it.
Yeah, Tarantino's another one.
He's okay.
All right. The Thing is off the board. Tim, your 4th pick. What you thinking? Where are you going?
I'm going to pick this one because this is another classic of mine, and I love this actor. They had to redo this because when you grow up in the late 90s, one of those, especially with you're a comedic fan like I am, you know the works of Adam Sandler. You know he started with the big comedy with Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, Waterboy. My cousin still has his haircut, which I still make fun of to this day. I got to see him later today so I can do that, just that. But 2005, he came out with something that was comedy, but it was a mixture with The Longest Yard remake in 2005 from Burt Reynolds back in 71. And that was another one, that movie with the 2005. You had a stellar cast. You had Adam Sandler. You had Michael Irving, who I guess, took some time to clean up to do that movie. And I'm a Cowboys fan, so I have a right to say that. Anyone else?
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. But Nelly, Chris Rock.
Yeah. I mean, it's just such a great movie, and I think touches the tones of the original 71 version, which I saw that from being a kid, so that's my pick for that.
Always got to protect the McNuggets. No, it's one of my favorites too. It is one of the ones up on my wall, so I like this pick a lot. Did anybody else have the Adam Sandler remake of The Longest Yard on your list? Would have been on mine.
It is a great pick.
Would have been on mine, Tim.
I would have substituted it for Vinnie Jones's Mean Machine.
I was about to say, just like
I know I wanted to, but I stuck with this one because of the best line in it. Where's Kansas State? You assholes better not cut me.
Yeah, but yours doesn't have
the great Joey Diaz still doing that line.
I just want to say that I love Kevin Nash in that film too. When they gave him this, when they gave him the what was it? The
hormones, the female.
Yeah,
hormones.
the hormones. Yeah. And then
I mean, think about it. Like every wrestling star from the '90s that you grew up with, Nash, Stone Cold Steve Austin played basically a redneck racist.
Goldberg.
Goldberg.
Yeah.
The Great Khali. It's just so iconic to me. I love
and then
that movie.
you get cameos from Adam Schefter, from Berman, from Jim Rome, all the sportscasters. Yeah, it's
and with the tie-in, you have Burt Reynolds back. Granted, he's not Paul Crewe, but he's kind of like that mentor figure, kind of like how he had in the original. So
and I kind of like the killing of Chris Rock's character, but it was
it
was a little bit. It was different than the original one, and that's I kind of like the original better than the one they did with Chris Rock, and I'm like, what?
I know.
Cried the part your caretaker died.
Yeah.
Right. Fun trivia note: what other Chris Rock film got released on the same day as Longest Yard?
Down
Is that I Think I Love My Wife?
Nope.
Damn it.
Madagascar.
So
I just like the idea of just like a kid going watch Madagascar and going, yeah, I'm gonna go watch this episode.
And then he's gonna die.
Walk away, Timmy. Walk away.
The Nelly song during the end credits of Here Comes the Boom is one of my favorite Nelly songs of all time. I made 2 Bears highlight reels set to that song because it's fun to have the tackles like right at the Here Comes the Boom. Anyways, I digress. Where are we at in the draft here? I lost track.
We are at the end of round 4, so I'll bring this bad boy up.
Thank you.
All right, so I went first this round. I went with Parent Trap. Sammy second with King Kong. Joe Harrison went with Cape Fear. Joe Farrelly went with The Thing. And Tim went with The Youngest Yard. So we go now to our final picks.
Final picks. That means this last chance to round out your team. This is where a lot of people just take the ones that are they're just the personal picks. I just want to have this on my squad. But you do what you want to do. Tim, you're up. What you got?
It's great you phrase that like that, Peggy. It really is. I loved the Indiana Jones films with the study of history, archaeology, digging up your past. Originally, that's what I was going to do for my major, and I changed it so many times in college. I changed it more time than Lindsay Lohan changed drugs. But one film in '99 that just blew off the career of one actor who did this and it hit immediate rock bottom with all the monster movies that went into remake. And I love a lot of these monster movies. I love a lot of the original ones. I love a lot of the remakes, and a lot of the remakes were garbage. But I'm going with Brendan Fraser's 1999 The Mummy. And if you have not seen that, go watch it. He did that. I remember Blast from the Past, and then Brendan Fraser nosedived. He probably made so much money he didn't have to worry about his life ever. But it's one of those great guilty pleasures for me. The other ones are kind of hit and miss, but the original I could watch repeatedly on end.
Jacoby Bancroft's favorite film off the board. There was a big reaction from the panel when you started just kind of hinting at what movie this was, especially my man Tony over here. How pissed are you right now?
I watched it last night.
Tony, I think we're on the wrong side of the river with this one.
I know. This film is incredible, and it doesn't get the love that it deserves because it came out in '99, and it just got trapped in like the Matrix, everything like that being bigger blockbuster stuff today. But it's just like, go back and watch it. It still holds up. It's still perfect.
Mm-hmm. And it's far superior than the newest movie they tried to remake, which
Tom Cruise.
We won't get into that.
He's too short.
Too short.
He
Yeah,
pulled
like
off Jack
5'8".
Reacher, I'll tell you that.
I think he's like 5'8", something like that.
Yeah, like 5'8", 5'7".
Yeah, something like that. He's a small guy.
Mm-hmm.
They got to do some amazing camera work for his films.
He claims he's 5'7", but on set of Eyes Wide Shut, the entire crew's just like, dude's not taller than 5'5". Like, he's lying. There's no way in hell he's 5'7".
Dustin Hoffman's like 5'4" or something like that. He's amazing. So hey, shout out to all you short men out there. We love you too. Farrelly, was this going to be your 5th round pick? You had a reaction.
It was in contention. I'm still torn. I was torn between 4. I'm now torn between 3. So he made my choice slightly easier.
That's cool. But that's a solid pick, I think. And a good way to round out your team, Tim. All right. Well, speaking of making a decision, it's your turn. Farrelly, what you got?
I think we don't have any musicals really on this list. And you don't have musicals with Frank Oz puppetry. So I am going to go with Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Not the one I thought you were going to pick.
I love this movie. It's fantastic all the way through. It's a fantastic remake. The music is catchy. The performances are great. Steve Martin, Rick Moranis. Everything about this movie is fantastic. Rewatchable. You want to download the soundtrack afterwards. I love Little Shop of Horrors. Feed me Seymour. Feed me Seymour.
I'm assuming this was at least an honorable mention on a few of you guys' list.
Yeah. I thought he was actually going to say Les Miserables.
Well, we got 3 more picks off the board that might come up. Who knows?
If Frank Oz had done puppetry in Les Miserables, then it would be on.
So I had like 3 picks in a row. I had 3 picks in a row. 2 of them have just been taken. I hate you all. Also, just quickly, if you are following the Instagram question of the day, Joe gave you the answer.
Oh no.
Little Shop of Horrors is fantastic. It's if you've ever watched the original, Roger Corman did it as a bet to see whether or not he could shoot something so cheap in such a quick time, and that worked really well. Then they didn't make any money because it's a Corman film in the 60s, and then it got sent to a play, and then it became what it is now.
All right, so Joe, Farrelly. Did
anyone else have? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tony.
I was going to say, anyone else have Little Shop of Horrors on their list?
Nope.
I had it with an honorable mention, but that's just because I miss Rick Moranis in acting. So please come back.
My Blue Heaven 2. My Blue Heaven 2. I want it to happen one day. It would be so great. But Joe Farrelly rounds out his team with Little Shop of Horrors. Now, Harrison, Tony said that the last two picks were 2 out of the 3 ones he has left on his list. Will you do me a solid and figure out how to pick that third one and piss him off?
I can't because both of my 2 that I'm going for would be considered horrors. And I think I have to go with it. I have to go with Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh. Was it? No way. I think he's messing with us.
Yeah. He has to be messing with us. There's no way in hell that was his last one.
Next on Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
There's another horror left, Tony, that's pretty good.
Yeah. But I love Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's one of my favorite movies. I love the ending. I love the just like, because that's an existential fear, like right there, is you don't know who you can trust. And I think at some point, anyone in our lives, we have had that feeling of like, we don't really know if the people we're around are really who they say they are, or if it's just a front that they're putting up with us. So just that existential fear that everyone can relate with is just perfect. Chef's kiss.
When you picked that, Tony literally was like,
Harrison, thank you so much. That was great. I didn't think it was going to happen.
Happy with the draft order now, Tony?
I hate everyone.
You picked the order.
Yeah, you did this to yourself.
Fair point.
It just all came together at the end, honestly.
Love it when a plan comes together.
So did anyone else have Invasion of the Body Snatchers on theirs?
Mm-mm.
Oh, yeah.
And Joe?
In fact, there is another horror out there with someone who was in this movie.
Well, let's see. Sammy, you're up next. Will you take the horror that Joe Farrelly is speaking of?
It is funny that you do mention horror because I started with horror. I'm going to end with horror. For me, this is a huge classic. And I think it's kind of like the typical role that's, I guess, we're not used to seeing from him. I mean, we've seen him in so many other movies. I mean, Jurassic Park comes to mind. But I'm going to go with 1986, The Fly.
Oh, I'm like, okay, what's Richard Attenborough been? No, Jeff Goldblum, okay. This was another one I haven't seen since like the 80s or 90s or whatever the last time I watched. It's well over 2 decades since I've seen this one.
Yeah, and I mean, it just it's probably been close to that for me as well. I mean, I can't really imagine like the last. I'm trying to imagine when I did see it. I was probably about maybe 8 or 9 years old, somewhere in there, and like not really fully understanding the film, just being so young. And then I see it, as an adult, and I'm like, this is some scary shit.
Right. I remember being grossed out by that movie a bit, but I do love me some Gina Davis, so I might have to go revisit it soon.
League of Their Own for Gina Davis for me, classic.
Absolutely. Who are you talking to?
Yeah.
I identified so hard with Dottie Henson because I'm like 6 feet tall too. So yeah, that's my girl. But all right, Fly. Is that the one you were thinking of, Fairly?
Absolutely, that was the one that I was vying for with Little Shop of Horrors, but we hadn't had any musicals, so I thought I sure loved musicals. But the Fly is fantastic. It was so close to getting on my list. I love The Fly. Jeff Goldblum is fantastic, and Cronenberg body horror, man.
All right, cool. Sammy's team is officially.
You guys can keep talking if you want. I've not literally. You guys can keep talking. Go ahead.
Oh, you're scrambling right now?
No. You've got Jungle to Jungle.
Sabrina's
still Jungle in it.
All right.
You have the Jungle Book.
The Vampire.
Davey stood still.
I'm in between 2.
Bram Stoker's Dracula.
That one.
Should we go around with the honorable mentions and you just select one of them to just round?
No. All right.
True Light.
Nosferatu.
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna risk it for the biscuit. So I'm gonna go for a musical. So there's been quite a lot of talk of Disney on these, and Disney obviously at the moment have been doing their whole of like, you remember your childhood? Here it is in live action.
Oh,
And there's some
Which
that are
one?
absolutely abysmal, some that are decent, and one that I've unequivocally loved so much on this show, and I will do it once again. I still hold firm.
don't say it.
But the remake of Aladdin is one of the best Disney live action remakes. But it's the best Disney live action remake. It's a Gary Ritchie does a fantastic job of blending what the cartoon did, as well as bringing in this beautiful Bollywood aesthetic to it, and just like it feels like this weird, beautiful mix of just the two worlds coming together. The actors are great in it. Will Smith. It's an impossible task taking over the role of the genie from Robin Williams, but Will Smith was able to do such a fantastic performance of doing it his own way, and it's just absolutely perfect. And it's just like, yeah, I needed to do this because otherwise I would be a hypocrite to myself. That Aladdin is one of my favorite remakes.
Aaron is not a fan.
It's not the Disney remake I would have had on there. I would have had Jungle Book. However, I will stick up for Tony a little bit. Is that I do also like the remake of Aladdin. I do love me my Guy Ritchie. Unfortunately, that wasn't the 2019 Guy Ritchie film that stood out for me because The Gentleman was fantastic.
I was about to say he had slightly more of his stature one, but
See, I was hoping you were at least going to go 2015 Cinderella, because I took my ex to see that because we'd swap movies every week, and I owed her one after Fast 7, the great cry fest of that, or was it Fast 6? It was one of the fast ones.
7.
I owed her for.
7.
Yeah, and we went to see that, and I'm thinking, okay, yeah, she'll enjoy it. I'm just going to sit here, play on my phone, or go get another thing of popcorn or some Swedish fish. But I was engaged with that and enjoyed it. That was one of my favorite ones. But I guess to each their own with this one. If this is one of yours, and go for it all, shoot your goal there. But
I still haven't seen the remake of this. I mean, and I'm a huge Will Smith fan. Like, especially I love Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, so been a fan of his ever since. But I don't know, something is just holding me back from wanting to possibly tarnish the original.
it really
Go
on.
So there's been a lot of remakes for Disney lately. We have Aladdin, Lion King, Beauty and the Beast.
They've remade everything.
Yeah, right.
They've
The
got
more
a lot
recent times.
coming.
Yeah, we got Little Mermaid's coming. Although I don't think that one's going to be too bad, but we'll wait to see.
I want my life Black Cauldron.
Beauty and the Beast, I thought was really good as a cartoon. As a remake, Emma Watson, no, just no. She's not Belle. She's not Belle. She doesn't have the look of Belle. Nothing about that is good, and that's a shame because that's probably my favorite Disney cartoon, like the original ones. But this Aladdin I did not like it. I did like it, but that whole side story with Jasmine going on, and it threw me off. The whole film, threw me off with that. But Will Smith was great. I do agree. Will Smith was great. And he played an impossible role. You're absolutely right.
I don't know why I thought that bit about Jasmine, just like her fleshing that character out a lot more than the cartoon did, just really works a lot better, and just actually made like, oh yeah, she's not just the damsel in distress now. She's actually got her own character. She's actually more than just I'm gonna ride a carpet and I have a tiger.
I just feel like it took away from Aladdin.
You're not wrong, Tony. There were comics back after the second Aladdin movie. I do remember those, so you're not wrong. I
had to put
remember
my
a few of those.
stoner hat on because I thought Tony was high when he made that pick.
I think he was pissed off by 1, 2, and 3.
This one gets lost in the fold, in my opinion, as far as one of the better remakes as a live action. For me, I really like 101 Dalmatians.
I can't wait to see the new one coming out with Emma Stone.
Oh, I love it.
Oh yeah, Cruella.
Close knocked that one out of the park. I agree with you on that. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, we've reached the end of the draft, guys. We're done. Here we go. Tony, over to you. We're gonna see how everyone's team turned out.
Absolutely. Okay, so Tim went first overall. He went with To Homeward Bound. Going proper Northern here. Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey. To Homeward Bound.
We'll fix it in post.
It's like a big
Film
horse and
word
these
bound.
bears. He then went with the Ten Commandments, the Longest Yard, and then the Mummy. All movies start with her. Farrelly was next. He went with Scarface, Airplane, The Birdcage, The Thing, and Little Shop of Horrors. Harrison third. He went with The Wizard of Oz, The Departed, Ben-Hur, Cape Fear, and The Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Emmy fourth. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Three Musketeers, Casino Royale, King Kong, and The Fly. Me, Ocean's 11, A Fistful of Dollars, The Thomas Crown Affair, The Parent Trap, and Aladdin, the greatest film of all time.
Now, everyone in the comment section, Aaron's already beating you to it, but throw out your honorable mentions. What do you guys think we missed? What should have been said? But we're going to go around the horn and get a few honorable mentions from everyone. Let's start with Tony, and we'll work our way this way.
Oh yeah, so I only had the one that I was fighting between because I wanted to do a musical, and I had Aladdin, Little Shop of Horrors, and then Hairspray as my third. That I was arguing between the two which one to pick. I think John Travolta was fantastic in that role, and just Zac Efron is. I need a few minutes to think about that. But Hairspray is an absolutely delightful film.
Fair enough. Sammy, what are a few that just barely missed out on making your squad?
So this film is actually it is my favorite film of all time, and I know it just like the back of my own hand, and probably better than Spielberg himself. I don't know if you can consider it a remake, but it's an adaptation, I guess, of the original story, and it's like a reimagining, so to speak. For me, it's a Hook.
Yeah, we would have counted it.
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure just because it was a different title, I mean, same sort of kind of story, but still based upon the same characters. So
I did have way down on my list. I did have Pan, the 2003 film, because I like that film. Even though it gets panned a lot.
Yeah, and then they actually, I think the Peter Pan and Wendy is in the books, coming up sometime soon as well.
Did not know that.
So many different adaptations of Peter Pan.
Yep, Finding Neverland, all that shit.
Yep.
All right. Joe Harrison, what are a few of your questions?
The 1960s, The Magnificent Seven was an honorable mention. Nosferatu the Vampire would have been an honorable mention. And then just for fun, like I Jungle to Jungle would have also been an honorable mention.
All right, cool. And then Farrelly, what are a few of yours?
I might have tried to argue the Lord of the Rings based on the 1978 Banking and Racks animated one, but I didn't want to have that argument. I couldn't be bothered to have that argument. And also, it's sort of a merge of Fellowship and Two Towers, so it would have been an interesting one to argue. 2016's Jungle Book, Jon Favreau. I think that's the best Disney remake. I think he really nails it. If I was going to give love to anything, something that probably wasn't going to get mentioned, it's the remake of Fright Night with Anton Yelchin and David Tennant and Colin Farrell. I love watching that movie. I think it's a great remake.
How did I forget that was a remake?
Yeah. I think it's, especially with Tennant having pretty much just come off of being the Doctor, I think he has a completely different role in this, and I think he's fantastic.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, Tony. And then Tim, a few ones that missed out on being in your team.
I'm really surprised no one said this one for the first one was 2003's The Italian Job. That Tony's love of like heist movies, and
I couldn't argue anything on the original. I love the original.
Yeah, that was my whole thing too. I love the original way too much to.
Yeah, sure, you should get on it.
I gotta say that film made Mini Coopers great, though.
My issue with the Italian Job is that it took out the Britishness of the original, like 60s classic. Like, just everything about that film is just like British, whereas like the Italian Job just felt that it's just like, yeah, we're just gonna take off we're just gonna make it a bit blander.
Another one I had, Angels in the Outfield, 94s. I found that was based on a 51 with the Pirates, which, they need all the help they can get. And another one, Nutty Professor, with the original with Jerry Lewis in 61 or 63?
63.
Yeah, I think. But that was just a couple of mine.
No, that's cool. And then Tony, we got a bunch of them in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. So we missed a couple. Where are we? So the remake of Dread. My issue with that is that it was a very different film. I would have picked that if Also, I don't think anyone's mentioned it. I've just remembered it. I unequivocally love the remake of RoboCop. True Grit, fantastic. 310 humor. If you want more westerns, here we are. Star is Born, The Invisible Man. Go with Dragon Dad 2. Let Me In. Date
The Invisible Man. Fuck.
Yeah, literally, like, the Invisible Man.
Stars Born, like that was like I think there was like 4 or 5 remakes of that
Three
movie.
remakes of A Star Is Born.
We could have picked a remake of A Star Is Born.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
50% of this panel could have picked A Star Is Born.
Mhm.
Someone could have picked A Star Is Born 3 rounds in a row if they wanted to.
We should have ruined the integrity of this show and agreed on that beforehand.
Oh no, we should have agreed on that. We should have said, hey, someone knows we're going to lose, but we're going to let them pick A Star Is Born 3 rounds in a row. You know what? I gotta go with it again. A Star Is Born.
Barbara Streisand's version.
There were a lot of good horror remakes that came out recently.
I will
Evil
say
Dead.
though, Bradley Cooper with Stars Born, who knew that he had such a great voice?
True.
Studio Mike's work magic, my friend.
You've got Mail. Bruce's Millions.
Okay, yeah.
Uh,
No one
Please.
said Sabrina.
Are we counting The Force Awakens, or am I going to open up a tin of controversy?
Don't you? Nope. Don't you do that? No.
Why not?
Because
I was gonna say, I don't think we have time to be. I don't think anyone wants this to be turn into a 3-hour Star Wars discussion show.
But if you like, on my own personal channel, there's like an hour and a half of me just ranting with The Last Jedi. But we'll go with that.
I just saw someone suggest Muppets Treasure Island, and now I'm angry with myself.
Yeah, I'm just getting ready for the Muppets version of The Great Gatsby. That is coming. If I keep saying it, it's going to happen.
It's in public domain. We want them. Do it.
You know what? No.
Do it. Disney is powered.
Joe never had the balls for Full Metal Muppets. Full Metal Jacket remade with the Muppets. Let's get it done.
I mean, Sherlock Holmes is also public domain. Now that's that's Muppet territory.
Peggy, make a note. Movies that should be remade by Muppets.
Yeah.
Someone suggested that.
Psycho.
The last one's 12 Monkeys, Blue Eyes. And I believe they're the last two that were not missed.
They filmed 12 Monkeys in Philadelphia at the Eastern State Penitentiary.
Oh, please don't say you're no Philadelphian.
There's so many.
No, I'm a New Jerseyan.
Sorry
right
about your
next, right
judgment,
about 15 minutes from Philadelphia, actually.
They're all there, all of you, just in that
Yeah,
corner.
there's a big cluster of fan leaguers that live in that area.
It's ridiculous.
Eastern State Penitentiary is actually one of the most iconic places in Philadelphia currently. It actually had running water before the White House.
Nice.
Fun facts. Yay.
Yeah.
Fun facts brought to you by Sammy. Yay. All right.
I'm
We'll
full
go,
of it.
around, we'll go around the horn and let you guys plug anything, any social media handles, any sort of podcast shows, anything that you want to plug. Have at it, and then we'll get you out of here. We'll start with Tim. Tim, you got anything you want to plug?
As some of you may know, I do a little thing with Multiplex Entertainment over on that channel with TV, especially. You'll see one of the Joes co-hosting you every once in a while. Joe Harrison, which I'm going to call Joe Farrelly now from now on. But yeah, I do that. Watch TV Throwdown. There's Movie Warzone. There's Fandom Fights. All the great entertainment over there. I'll plug that.
Yep, definitely go check that out, guys. And then Mr. Farrelly, anything you got?
You can just find me wherever movie trivia is played. I'll be over at Multiplex, Full Metal, Opening Night Trivia, TMG, pretty much everywhere they do movie trivia, and also debate as well. I do love myself an argument. It's been a while since I've had one, but coming soon, hopefully.
Oh, nice. Then Harrison, anything you want to plug up?
Yeah, I do a lot of TV stuff over at Multiplex with Tim. I co-host, I compete, and then you can just find me all over the internet at Joe Hipsterson.
Joe Hipsterson. Good. No. And then Sammy, what you got? Anything?
No, unfortunately not. I kind of fairly new to this whole thing, so you'll definitely be seeing more of me on these. Different categories, different discussions. I'm always open for a good movie discussion, no matter what the topic is.
Yes, we'll definitely be seeing you on another episode soon. But Tony, let us know what's coming up on your channel. What's going up on future presentations?
So yep. So this week, sign up sheet for FPTL is still available. That'll be available until tomorrow. So that'll be grand. So put your name down if you want to play. So we get 4 random plays. Stick them in a blender. Make 2 teams. See what happens. Then the I know for Bill Carriola mentioned earlier, Mad on Glory with Aaron J. Speaking of Aaron J, Digesting Cinema just been released on iTunes, so you can get the first 3 episodes there. And that's it for this week. Oh, quickly, Instagram. As I mentioned, we've started doing. I like having this here, just in the middle.
You don't see me anymore.
What is that?
Feature Presentation Production on Instagram. Like, go follow. We're doing daily questions, stuff like that. So try and keep your brain ticking and all that jazz. And Mobile Choice Maelstrom got announced the 30th of January. We are doing a coming of age classic along with Adelaide Spence from Opening Night Trivia.
Yes, I'm excited for that one.
That's going to be a ton of fun. And yeah, I think that's everything.
And then tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. We are having our 1-year anniversary of Fantasy Film Fights, and we are doing sports movies too. It's going to be a fun one. Hope to see you there. But for myself, for Tony, for Tim, the Joes, and Sammy, have a good week, guys. Trump's gone. Yay!
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and please don't forget to vote.
That was
Awesome.
I thought it reeked.
who's winning.
Let's see who wins.
You're gonna win.
Nothing personal. It's really gonna matter.
Tune in next week.
You see what happens?
Brand new.
Episode?
Fantasy
Film
fight.
Doesn't matter who wins because they're all losers.